Okay, ready?
Yeah.
Okay. We're an age gap couple.
Yep. Sure is.
So this morning, this is what we normally do. This is our morning check-in thing, right?
Yeah. It's just our normal routine that we do every day. So welcome, people.
That's right. So, well, it's not our normal because we actually like showered and I got ready for work and all that already. So, but
yeah, you know, had a little adult fun time.
Okay.
Got to keep up the status quo.
Okay, so why don't you start it us start us off with how did we become an age gap couple?
Oh, simple. I was living in North Dakota. You came to visit me, and then what was it? 6 weeks later, you came and picked me up, and it's been all she wrote ever since.
Yeah, a lot has happened in 3 years. Because okay, so this marks our 3-year anniversary. Like 3 years ago, we were driving back from North Dakota to Washington.
Yeah. And that's funny too because your son just found out a couple months ago that you took his truck to do it.
That's right. Oh, yeah. I remember because we were pointing out the motorcycles and it was like, oh yeah, that's what fit in the back of your truck, Adam.
Yeah. A jalopy motorcycle and a big blue toolbox.
That's right. So, how many years between us? What's our age difference?
Let's see. I doubt you really want me to put your real age out there on the internet, so...
I'm not ashamed of my age.
Okay, well, my brain recollects you're 53 now.
Correct.
So, I just turned 40 the day before you. So, 13 years.
That's right.
I had to do math.
Good thing you had some coffee first.
Yep. Speaking of, I might have to go get a refill.
Oh, I meant to have you bring that in here so that we can always pause it though.
Yeah, that's the wonderful thing about technology nowadays is you can just pause anything.
I know.
So.
Okay, so what do you think makes our relationship work as with the big age gap that we have?
Well, I think it's because we both have different levels of life experience. And we try to take all of that information, I guess, and use it to the best of our ability in how we grow with each other. You know, you got more experience on one thing versus my lack of experience in another. So it's kind of like we're both constantly teaching and learning from each other at the same time.
I agree. What has been the one thing that you've learned the most? Where do you think you've grown the most?
Communication.
You have grown. Yeah.
From someone, who's your typical, well, I guess you'd say stereotypical white American male. Don't really like to talk about my feels too much. I'd rather just bottle them up and just, hope they drown in what's left of the beer and whiskey in the bottom of my stomach and never surface again. Turns out that don't work. It leads to ulcers and bad breath.
And bad relationships.
Yeah, and bad relationships. Although sometimes that could be a good thing. It's like your body's way of naturally telling you, get the fuck out, dude. She is so wrong for you.
Well, maybe was she wrong, or she doesn't have the tools, the education and knowledge to communicate with you?
I think it's a little bit of everything. So much can't be blamed on one person, because every relationship is a give and take, 50-50 split. Sometimes, sometimes that ratio is a little bit higher or lower, just depending on the dynamic. But not one person can ever be blamed for everything going wrong. That's just not fair. So, and that, well, I guess that would be another thing that I've learned recently is, like, not all of my past relationship problems that I've ever had that led to the demise of said relationship wasn't my fault entirely. And it just was just like it wasn't their fault entirely. There was fault on both ends, due either because they didn't know how to communicate with me or the fact that I just didn't want to communicate, period. So there was a lot of problems and situations that were left unresolved and they just kept festering.
Yeah.
And then, you made up a good point the other day when we were talking that sometime, like, maybe they cared about me so much that they didn't know how to, so they just whoop, gotta go.
Yeah.
They just didn't know how to help.
Right. Right. No, that is a great perspective. And first of all, I want to tell you that I really, really appreciate you actually doing this podcast or this episode with me. I was surprised that you wanted to.
That I was so quick to say, yep.
Yeah. And the reason why is because you are, for the most part, pretty private. You don't share. You don't like to share your stuff.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that I do like to keep private, but something like this though that I feel strongly enough that maybe someone else out there could benefit from, that kind of gives me a good feeling. So, and I'm always trying to help people when I can.
You are.
So some people might agree, some people might disagree. I don't care.
I think it depends on the circumstances, the situation.
Right. And, and that's another thing that's helped. That's kind of grown or that I've learned being in an age gap relationship too is how to help someone or figuring out when the best time to walk away from trying to help someone is.
Yeah.
That some people just don't, I wouldn't say they're not worth it, but they're definitely not up to the task.
They need to learn to help themselves before they can ask for help. Like what if you don't know what kind of help you need,
right?
Or are we ready to problem solve this? Great. So
yeah, exactly. And so taking the life experience that you've had, and the different levels of advice that I've gotten towards that end, has been something that the difference in our age has really shown. Because before I would have just tried to help no matter what. I would have bent over backwards for someone that I felt was worth my time. But now it's like, not so much, bro.
Well, you pick and choose. You pick and choose your battles is kind of.
You need me to come over and help do your oil change? All right, cool. I'll bring the tools. You bring the beer.
Right.
Or you need advice on your woman? Better go talk to a damn therapist. I ain't helping you there because I'm still learning.
I think we're all learning, and I think that. So we've done this. Wake up in the morning. Get the coffee ready. You usually make it. Thank you, by the way.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And then we sit on the couch and we do our weekly check-in usually. I mean, that's...
Yeah. I mean, for a while, for a little bit, we kind of stepped away from it, and I don't think it was intentional.
No, we just had a lot going on.
Yeah, we just had so much going on with everything out here on the property and career changes and life in general. So... But, it's good that we're getting back to it and being able to record it so other people can learn from it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and, it's, like I said, this is marking our 3 years that you've been back in the state of Washington. And we have had, on both sides of our lives, a lot going on as far as, and I say relative situations.
Oh yeah.
You know, a lot of dynamics there on both ends. We've had deaths. We've had a lot of legal stuff. Like we've been cleaning up some of your 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 luggage. I was going to say the luggage that you brought with you. We did a lot of cleanup there.
Yeah, and you know we're finally figuring out how slow the emotional airport is with baggage claim. When you get that. Like if you've ever been on a flight and the airline loses your luggage.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like,
and then they tracked us down.
Yeah, they tracked us like, shit, I thought I forgot that on purpose. What are you doing bringing it back?
I think that's our avoidant attachment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably, but it still doesn't answer the question.
No, I know.
Where in the hell did you come from, dude?
Right. Like, I thought I buried that, sealed that up in a box and welded it. And...
I could have swore there was a TSA checkpoint between me and you.
Right.
What the hell happened there?
Oh, yeah. No, I think that there's been a lot of... I think when I look back at the 3 years... I mean, we don't like to look in the rearview mirror much. We keep saying look through the windshield, not the rearview mirror.
Yeah, I mean, but at the same time, though, it's a good thing to look in the rearview mirror to remind yourself where you come from. So maybe later on further down the road when you are looking out that windshield and you see a situation that has happened before, you know how to better avoid it or navigate it. So it's not such a big problem the next time. Right.
Good point. I think let's pause right there so you can get more coffee.
I need more goat juice.
Yes, you do. Okay, pause. All right, round 2.
And we're back.
You're such a pro at this. But you've always been good with mics. You and your background of you're the karaoke king.
I wouldn't say I'm the king. I'm more like the jester.
No, jester's the jester.
Well, yes and no.
That's a friend of ours, by the way. That's not...
We might be able to get him on the show one day.
Oh my gosh, that would be hilarious.
Just get his perspective on life as an insurance agent who rides.
Yeah. So, all right, back to the age gap relationship here. So I am very impressed by how much you've grown over the 3 years and what a great partner you've been. You have been so supportive of so much of what I've had to deal with.
Well, life is hard, It's definitely not easy, and there's no reason why people should have to go through it alone.
Well, no, but we have gone through the amount of stuff that we've gone through in the last 3 years. Most couples don't go through that until for like 10 years into their relationship. Like,
right.
We fast tracked. Like we were like hit with so much.
Yeah, like
how we didn't. Yeah.
What was it, like 3 family deaths in a row? Just bam, bam, bam.
For you.
Yeah, for me alone.
Just on your side.
It's like holy fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then some of those passings, left us with stuff that we're still sifting through. We've inherited their belongings, and that's a whole nother conversation.
That could be a whole nother podcast.
That is going to be a whole nother podcast. Another episode. That's another episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So back to age gap, because that's really, so the reason I picked age gap as the title is because it's really trending on TikTok, and I don't know about Facebook. You're more of a Facebook, Instagram person, and have you noticed that? Have you noticed any of that?
No, because my Facebook is primarily things that I'm interested in, like hobby-wise, like motorcycles and off-road trucks and RC cars and stuff like that, big boy toys.
Right. Okay, so since you brought in motorcycles, I think that's another reason that this works.
Yeah, our shared love for 2 wheels and wind therapy.
Well, it's not just the 2 wheels. I mean, 4x4 in,
right.
Just all of the Well, do you think it has something to do with the fact that our birthdays are like a day apart?
That could have something to do with it, but I think it has, what has to do with it more is the fact that we both are products of the 80s, you know, obviously because of the age gap. You're a little bit before the 80s, but, you know, still, you grew up through them.
Yeah.
Well, you know, yeah. When I was coming up, you know, as a little kid, you were going through as a preteen.
Correct.
You know, so...
Yeah, I was a teen for sure, yeah.
And on not just growing up in the 80s, but growing up in the 80s in rural Washington.
Well, I didn't move to Washington until I was almost 16, but yeah.
Well,
you know what? Yeah, Pacific Northwest, yeah.
Yeah, Pacific Northwest. You know, I grew up around here, Rainier, and you grew up in, you know, Mineral.
Did I grow up there, or was I just I was just traveling through for a couple of years? I guess
you'd say you're more or less passing through.
Right. Yeah.
You know, Mineral.
Yeah. So, but I was going to bring up, you brought up the 80s, and what triggered in my brain was how much I struggle with technology and how much you help me, and I'm so happy for that. Me and my meltdowns, you just like, okay, step aside, go do something else, let me see what are you trying to do?
I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that because I am I'm more on the cusp of Gen X and millennial.
Correct.
So
but you don't like it when I call you millennial.
I absolutely hate it. But at the same time, though, I really shouldn't take it as disrespectful either, because I feel like that's the best generation. Because...
Did you just say that to me?
I totally do. And I'm going to explain why.
Okay.
You know, because I get a lot of the aspects from Gen X that a lot of people respect, but at the same time, I'm also a product of the millennial age, because I do have a good understanding of the new technology that's out there today, you know, and so yeah, I mean, when it comes to helping you out when you're having a little techno meltdown, to me, it's not that really big of a deal, because I've already gone through those meltdowns myself. You know, early on. And so it's like, oh yeah, I know how to fix this.
Yeah. Well, so let's talk about technology. We're going to backtrack a little bit to when you did first come back to Washington, and, you know, we didn't live together. You stayed, nope. You know.
I stayed with my parents.
That's right. So because I was living the minimalist life in my 30-foot trailer, better known as the gypsy wagon, and I was partially off grid, so no TV.
Yeah, that's rough.
And no sewer, so we had the composting bucket.
Yeah, that's a whole other podcast in its own.
And I had water. So there was and you know, for you were like, okay, we need to figure out a TV situation in here. You were trying hard to get me to have, and I was like, no. So you were like, okay. So
there's got to be a way to compromise on that,
right?
You know,
and we did. So
yeah, totally.
We got the projector.
Yep.
We got a projector, and you brought over your Xbox.
Yep.
And I had to learn how to use Xbox to live stream our shows, and I would like hand you the remote, going, "Screw this! Here, fix this! Make this work!
Make it work for me!
Make this happen!"
You're going to work, and I'm not going back to sleep, so find me a show.
Yes, like, how do I do this? You know, so, you know, that's the thing is, like I said, you've taught me a lot as far as that technology, or just like last weekend when I was trying to do the audio clip and I had my meltdown, and you just came and done. I'm like, you asshole.
Yeah, and well, I think part of that too, why sometimes people feel that way when someone does help that is more knowledgeable, is sometimes they don't realize that they're doing it in such a manner that almost belittles the person that they're helping.
But you didn't. You didn't do that. That's not how you approached
Well, thankfully, you know, I could have swore I did. You know,
if you did, I didn't notice.
Yeah, it was weird. You know, it was just. But
I was so grateful. It's
just like, hey, you know, slow it down. We'll figure this out. You know, like,
But what have you learned?
Skynet has not taken over. They're not going to beat us just yet. So let's chill out. But there ain't going to be no Terminator coming after us, Sarah Connors.
Did you get a lot of sleep or something? Holy hell!
Holy shit! I must have.
Like you are on a roll this morning. No, but what have you learned about me when I start getting? What are the 3 things that I say you have to ask me before we have like?
How much sleep did you get? Have you eaten? And have I boned you recently?
Oh yeah, there's that.
You asked for 3, and I gave you 3.
Well, since you brought that up, okay. So when we first brought you back to Washington.
Yep.
And we were, people would ask, well, are you guys together? And is it a thing or is it just a sexual thing? I mean, I remember, and what was our responses at that point? Because we were still trying to figure it out because we didn't know. We didn't know where this was going to go, how this was going to evolve.
I don't think either of us really had any plan in mind.
No.
As far as a relationship goes, I think it was... When it started out, it started out as just a fun weekend in North Dakota.
Well, wait, but I guess we have to backtrack of how did that even start? Like,
no, from what I recollect, you sent me a message saying, "Hey, what are you doing?" And we talked for a bit.
Me?
We talked. No, I think it was me that sent you a message actually, and just check. It was our decade-long check-in period.
Yes, because we have known each other since you were 17 and I was 30.
Yep.
You were just getting ready to go into the military.
Yep.
You walked in the door and I went, who is that? And then
And it's been on ever since.
Well...
Kind of, sort of.
Yeah.
Mentally.
Look at you.
Yeah, mentally. Strong mental game this one.
So yeah, because I'm a friend of the family.
Yeah.
And we always, every time I saw your mom, it was like, hey, what's he up to? And vice versa.
Yeah. And then, Facebook came along.
Yeah. And it was easier to, there was a couple of times there was once that I was like, yeah, you got a lot of like drama going on in your life. Bye-bye for a while.
Right.
Like, I don't want to see this.
Right.
So, and then because I know I looked at my Facebook, friend requests, and I still have from like one of your old Facebook pages. It was like, 8-9 years ago. And I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't accept that one.
Yeah.
There was still some things going on there that I just like,
there was something weird going on there and I wanted no part of it.
Right. Like, nope. But, so yeah. That's so funny. But yeah, when we first got together, that's the first thing I think people think when you're in an age gap relationship. And as far as like the terminology, so like age gap, I feel like that's a new term that people are using instead of back in the day it was sugar mama or
sugar daddy and stuff like that. Yeah, no, absolutely. That was...
Or cougar. Everybody called me a cougar.
Right.
At first.
So it's weird when you look back at it like that, the stereotypical, it wasn't so much, I guess, your typical, like, younger woman, 20-something, going after, like, that 70 to 80-year-old fucking...
Hugh Hefner.
Hugh Hefner types. Yeah, we'll just call them that.
Okay.
The Hugh Hefner type.
Yeah.
With the lots of money in the big house, and, and they know they're going to croak soon, but hey, we'll have fun with him because he's got loaded of money. You saw more of that, I think, in the mainstream of things.
Right. It was more the older guy and the younger woman.
It was the other way around.
Correct. Yeah.
It's kind of funny because I honestly believe that's where the term cougar comes from, because if you think about it, cougars are like really, really sly, stealthy hunters. So you wouldn't really see that in the mainstream. They're just doing their thing on their own, in the woods.
Yeah.
Also known as the behind the scenes.
Right. Well, and from my recollection, I was the first older woman that you dated.
Yes.
And you're the first younger man that I've dated. So this is our first, like, this was our first experience as an age gap relationship. So we're evolving. We're working it out. And my favorite saying that you have, that you say to me all the time, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out.
Doesn't matter. You can use that phrase with any part of your life too, I think. And for those of you that are listening out there, if you actually thought this was going to be strictly age gap, you should not have just clicked on this podcast, because you're going to get so much from so much different perspective and topics all in one. But it all generally revolves around the age gap thing, you know. So stay tuned. Keep listening. Well, like and share and subscribe.
Okay, so I see that we this is going to be a regular thing.
I think I might have to come on your podcast regularly.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah. It doesn't even have to be about a topic. We could just put the headphones on, put the mic in front of our face, drink coffee, and just bullshit. Because
I think that some people that, because this isn't going to be just for people that know us. This is going way out there.
Oh yeah, it's going into the interwebs.
So, but for the people that do know you, some of your relatives are going to go, he talks a lot.
I have a voice.
He's funny.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, when it makes sense.
Right. Well, so because you do not like the phone. You are horrible at returning messages, phone calls.
I'm terrible at it. Like, so much to the point where sometimes I look at my phone and just do that whole, oh, what the fuck? Just leave me be.
Yeah. Like, yeah.
I don't want to talk to you.
It is not that you don't even want to talk to you.
Right. I have nothing to say.
It's a timing thing, because that's another thing that we talked about, is when you and I are having hard, difficult conversations.
Right.
You have to pick the time. And if we look at each other and say, you know, when is a good time that we can, you know, this might not wait until our weekly check or our daily or our weekly check-in, that, you know, hey, I need to talk.
But there's something that really needs to be addressed. When can we do that between now and then?
Right. And I think that's also that has been refreshing, that we do our check-ins, because we can hold on to something and know that, okay,
we're going to get to it.
We're going to get to it. We have a scheduled time that we can sit down, and knowing that we're going to have, it's a potential that having a difficult conversation, that we're not triggered. Like, we don't have those heated reactions.
Yeah. Which is something that, if anybody else out there that's listening that really knows me, knows I get triggered easily, you know, with anger emotion. So, it's really refreshing to know that we can have those hard conversations and not get triggered like that, and not have an explosive reaction.
Yeah.
You know, it's really nice. So.
And I had told you at one point that I was sad for you, because it was like that was the only emotion that you were allowed to express in society. You know what I mean? Like, you know, you're not supposed to cry. You're not supposed to do all of these. But you knew that. But you're also like a pressure cooker.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like everything would build up, and then you just explode, and it was like, whoa, what?
Yeah, and the unsuspecting person at the time, that may not have had anything to do with what made me blow my top.
Right. Yeah.
You know, and that's
I'm like, where's the pressure relief valve here? Like, where is it, and how can we, you know, adjust that so that it doesn't get to that explosion point? You know, that.
I mean, do you want the serious answer, or you want the comedy answer?
Oh, I already know where it's at.
Oh, okay.
I think that's why we work.
The taint.
That's why we're together.
It's the taint, for those of you listening.
That's not what I was going to say.
Well, I did.
I mean, you know where mine is. Like, you need an attitude adjustment. Come here.
Yeah.
Did you seriously just suck down another cup of coffee?
I did. I really like that coffee. That Kona brand is really good.
That is a good. Yeah, thank you for
Matt
and Jess for us.
Yeah, I was spoiled going to Hawaii.
You've been spoiled for 3 years. What are you talking about?
I mean, facts. Really have.
I'm not a sugar mama. That was.
Oh no. All the fun and toys that I have, I earned it. Trust me. Like, I paid for it with my own money.
You busted your ass. You work 60 hours a week.
or more.
That's right. And that's the other thing that I think that you learned through this age gap relationship was the financial aspect of it.
Oh yeah, because I'm so much more educated financially than I used to be.
Yeah.
Which is also an awesome thing, because before I get every little bit of money I get in my pocket, I had this like urge, I needed to spend it before it was taken away.
Yeah.
And now it's like I actually sit there and contemplate looking at my balance and on the banking app, like, can I afford this? Do I need it? Or is it a need or a want, as you would say?
Yeah. And I got that from my grandma.
And more times than not, everything that I end up getting is more of a want than a need. I rarely get anything that I need before I get something that I want. So, I'm still learning, but
here's the funny thing.
But I'm using more time to make those impulse decisions. I'm not just impulsively hitting buy or add to the cart. I'm like, if I do this right now, what's going to happen later on down the road when I really need this money? And there's been a lot of times where the logic has won over the need, and
I'm proud of you for that. You definitely changed it. And it's funny because I know that if my mother listens to this, she's going to say, well, you're not good with money. What are you talking about? You haven't taught her, and it's like, but again.
The thing is, though, is you don't need to have a buttload of money in a savings account that you religiously put in there or invest in different things or anything like that to be financially responsible.
Right.
You don't need to do any of that.
Well, because
it helps.
Yeah.
It definitely helps, but you don't need to. You just got to be more frugal minded, I guess, like use the need or want table.
Right. Well, and the thing is that, again, I didn't really focus on a lot of the finances or relationship stuff or anything. Like, my 40s is where I really did a lot of my learning.
Right.
And so, you're just getting into your 40s. And so I
really wish people would quit reminding me of that too.
I'm sorry. Okay. How should we say that the next decade of your life, you've entered another decade of your life, and
I've stormed the hill, as people would say.
And
I'm at the top.
Yeah. And so, in that decade of my life, in that chapter of my life, is when I really looked at my finances and started looking, because I was getting closer to the other, that 50 decade.
Right, yeah.
And so getting closer to all of that. And so, yeah, it's, and doing a lot of the self-education on communication. So,
yeah.
I didn't realize that was gonna help us in our relationship. Because I didn't know that this was going to be a thing.
Well,
I'm glad it is.
Yeah, absolutely. It's
this.
It became a happy accident.
Oh, I love that. Happy accident.
It was a happy accident.
Yeah, because neither one of us were expecting this. This wasn't
let alone, at least for me, I didn't feel like I was in a good spot to be in a relationship. I didn't think I was ready for that. But again,
I didn't think you were ready for it either, to be honest.
Hey.
I did. I was like, remember, I was on the way back from North Dakota. I said, we can try this,
but I'm not holding my breath.
Don't feel obligated or anything. Yeah. Like, this has been fun, but if we go different directions when we get back to Washington, that's okay.
Yeah, I mean, we'll still be friends.
Yeah,
and we'll still hang out all the time. And
there was no pressure.
Yeah, exactly.
I think there was no.
I think that's why there's a big contributing part as to how it became a happy accident, is because there was no pressure,
no expectations.
It was just, if it's meant to be, it'll be kind of situation. And that's how we looked at it. Like, we didn't label it. I mean, we just recently started calling ourselves undocumented. So
undocumented husband and a wife.
Yeah, who needs that damn piece of paper?
That's
not
right.
These people.
We're more married than any of my other relationships.
Yeah. And it's really weird, but in a good way.
When you say it's really weird, what do you mean?
Well, because it does go against the grain, it goes against the status quo, because we are undocumented.
Right.
So
we're untraditional.
Yeah, we're definitely not traditional, because we feel that we don't need that stupid piece of paper.
That one piece of paper with the county when we have how many other documents with the county?
Yeah,
registered?
we've got enough documentation out there already that the government has. We
Right.
don't need to give them one
Right.
more.
Exactly.
So.
But yeah, no, this has been good.
Yeah, absolutely, I would agree.
Yeah. Well,
and
you're done with your coffee again, and I need to get to work.
I don't think I'm gonna have another cup yet.
I don't think you should.
I should probably go poop first.
Did you just say that?
I did. Hey, you know what? Just like the alien on the show we were watching last night said, everybody poops, including aliens.
Yes, including aliens. Are you saying you're an alien today?
No, I'm definitely.
But my kids always say that
I'm definitely human.
It's not a meal with the family if we don't talk about poop at the dinner table or whatever.
At least one time it's got to come up.
It's got to go up.
Our friend Mike, that he owned the property where we were living before we moved here at my grandfather's property. He gave me a term, for coffee, and what was it, kips?
Kips, yeah.
Kips, coffee induced poops.
Yep.
That's so true too, because I don't
you,
ever
Mike
feel
Cook.
like this.
Thank you.
Until after I've drank at least 2 cups.
But you don't have to go to the end of the property to hit the porta potty either.
No, I don't.
You just have to go in the other room.
Yeah, I just have to go in the other room because I didn't have a phobia of the composting bucket.
Oh, you got past it though. But you know what, babe? Guess what?
What?
You're my favorite.
You're my favorite.
Yeah, and I love you.
I love you.
All right. Hey, thank you, and we're going to end here.
Cheers. All right, y'all have a great day. Remember, like, subscribe, and all that.
All the fun things.
Yeah.
All right.